piece of equipment, these pajamas. For obvious reasons, today's at least slightly cooler, so we're going to work on some stuff from the mount in the pajamas. Does change the game a little bit, so we're going to work a couple different collar chokes and just some good variations as far as being able to attack from here when you do have closing, all right? So we're here, all the same things apply. You can hit all the other stuff we've worked the past, what, 3 weeks? Yeah, sorry, basically first week of July. All that same stuff works gi and no gi, guys. Realize this is the only part of the lessons that won't, because you cannot collar choke someone when they're not wearing collar. I know it's really hard for you to grab sometimes. It's really hard to do. So, we're here. Generally, by the time you've hit mount, their collars aren't perfectly tucked in and all that fun stuff. So you may have to open them up a bit, but we're here, right? I always like to open one up, and I like to go 4 fingers in right above his collarbone. Is about as deep as I need to be. If I get much deeper, you actually start having to like dive your wrist back to get a solid grip. I don't like that as much. So being able to just basically grab his collarbone and be right there. Alright? Now, first one we're going to do is just a simple over grip cross collar choke. So, all we're going to do, my top hand, I like to just grab that good bit of cloth right above his shoulder. Some people will show coming in to both collars. From mount, I think that is less effective, and it ties your hands up too much to be able to counter if you need to. So I'm here, I give myself some collar, grab here. I'm going to drop my top hand across his face. I'm going to roll my wrist down and into his throat. So this hand, I roll in and drop my elbow down. Here, pop, here. This one, when you go to it, can't be one that we kind of pussyfoot around about. Once you set this grip, James says it suck at jiu-jitsu. He's going to start countering and trying to move and do stuff, so you have to go. As soon as you get here, I like to drop my weight back. If they have their feet planted, pick them out, let them know you're there. Just helps you finish the choke a little more efficiently. If they can bridge and move, it just helps them off balance you. You don't want to fully grapevine like wrestling does, but just kind of kicking those feet out so they don't have a good base is going to help you. Questions on this choke, it gets more complex for you.
Is that top hand just pushing the face away, or are you using that to help?
A little bit with the finish, but its main focus is to get the face pointed away and up. So when I get to here, the main focus of this hand isn't so much choking as it's getting my choking hand into good position. So if I just drop my hand across his face, a lot of guys are just tough in jiu-jitsu, right? They're not just going to let you choke them. So they're going to start tucking their chin and digging their hands and countering this. So one of the big parts of this, and I'm going to loosen my grip so that Mr. Hackett can't talk eventually tomorrow, is I'm trying to drive this hand not just down, but my elbow up, trying to pick the point of that chin up with it. So that way, when this hand's in, it sinks deeper into that throat. Because if Mr. Hackett just points his chin down just a little bit, the choke becomes really ineffective really quickly. Now, we're going to have other options, we're going to go to other things, but easiest, path of least resistance here is grip, grip, and go. Does that make sense? Other questions here?
When they get their grips on it, they're on the bottom, but your defense just not letting that up.
Biggest thing is hand fighting there. That one is home alone defensing is actually going to be one of your best friends there. Controlling elbows and home alone is going to be the two biggest things.
I know you can't do this, but how much do you like, so you can get that top hand set very well, how much do you like stepping off into like that?
You can. I'm not a big fan of surrendering position. I will surrender limbs at times to get what I want, but it's really tough for me to say, I am in mount. I'm going to give that up for an attack. Because mount has so many attacks that why am I going to step off of a position to one that's less dominant and has less attacks? Because side control has a fair amount of attacks, but in a degree, there's more attacks than you. And so that's why I'm going to chain into something else as opposed to step. Now, that is all situational. Versus Jeremy, I'm not even going to be in mount. So if I end up in mount and try to choke him and need something else, I'm going to step off because Jeremy's big, he's going to buck and move me on. Situational, but 9 9 times out of 10, someone my size, I'm going to stay mount and I'm going to choke. That's more of a tactical than a technical. Is it wrong? No. Would it be my first idea? No. Would it be like my 5th? Maybe. That makes sense? Other questions? Alright, choke your friends. 1, 2, 3. And right, I get into the position. Boom, I'm here, right? I open his collar. Boom, I go here. James doesn't suck. He's got a blue belt for a reason, right? So what's his first idea? 1, you have to start controlling the choking gi. So for James, that's the hand that's in the gi. So first thing he's going to do, a couple options. One that I really like is, I like to just grip up into that elbow, pulling it down and across here. 2 things that does. Makes it really fucking hard to get my wrist across, didn't do anything effective, but it doesn't extend his hands out front. Still really hard to get like an arm bar out of this. He can let go as soon as I let go of that collar. He's back effectively defending himself and go. The other thing that grip allows him to do is here, if he can trap an ankle, he can move up towards this arm. So if he keeps that wrist grip and is smart and intelligent and traps and goes this way, boom, he can use that to sweep as well. Easiest way to defend that is just controlling that choking hand. But most people are going to do some variation of that or pushing up your elbow. So as I go here, he's going to start pushing up my elbow. I really just don't appreciate that, right? So what are we going to do? Either way, I'm going to be able to set a grip on his elbow. I like to just kind of grab that bunch of cloth right here. It's generally bunchy right here unless he's got like a real tailored gi. So all we're going to do, post this foot in the mat, sit James up, and come here. Alright? This hand leaves the elbow, and I like to kickstand him up and sit right behind him. I'm going to turn James here in a second. You guys are going to this hand's going to leave the elbow, come around the hand, and train. Alright? So, this hand was going to be my choking hand. Switches here. This hand stays, but goes behind the head. Then I start my lawnmower. I rip this piece of cloth as far back as I can, like I'm trying to start a full start lawn. Now, back to the sink, I'm going to turn him this way. We're hand fighting. I don't appreciate what's happening here. But I'm going to choke you here. He starts to trap my elbow, starts to try to defend himself, right? Really don't. Let me choke you. Wait, I'm wearing a collar. I set him up, boom. Use that collar and use that elbow to sit him up to this side. His focus is going to be on his neck, not on his position. I'm using this kickstand to stop him from dropping back to his back. Because a lot of guys, once they get here, realize nothing good happens once I get to this point, right? Here, trade hands. Now, with this hand, I'm trying to cut his throat with my thumb and pull back as hard as I can. So I'm going to do this a little bit looser because I like James most days. But I pull the collar down and around here. As I do that, this hand that was on the collar, the second this hand connects, snaps behind his head. I then say it with my chest and bring my chest up as I chop this hand down, this arm around. When done with a tight grip, makes this choke pretty nasty. Questions on this? Either preference and which feels better to you. Other questions? Yeah, other hand, basically power half. Think about it that way. For those of you who press, it's a great way to think. So we're here. I start choking James on this side because I like to keep even. Boom. All I do, like I said, is I'm helping him up here, and I'm kickstanding this leg as tight behind him as I can. Because if not, he's gonna. As soon as you feel this, you're like, nothing good happens here. You start trying to flatten back out. As soon as this comes up, trade your hands here. You can go backhand. I can go here. I prefer kind of smacking the back, him slapping the back of his head here. you finish your transition.
Are you using that other leg to make sure that he doesn't go into turtle?
Yeah, because all I'm doing, if he goes into turtle with this grip, go ahead. See my gunslinger choke? It's literally what I do when I do this choke. I whole start make horse noises because fuck you. Sometimes I need a new enemy in life. But yeah, I don't. Am I wanting him to go to turtle? No. If he goes while I have that grip, is he turning into a choke? Yeah, you just put it behind it. You're doing it from behind it. So, other questions?
Do you go to get up the mouth?
Some other things. Yeah. Now, one thing that'll help you not get the gi caught on the face. Because, right, a lot of guys are going to start tucking that chin and doing that, right? Biggest thing I will tell you on this is, one, if you need to, open them up. Let them know. Lift that nose up a little bit. But the other thing that'll help save you on that is pull the collar down first. Because when I'm here, if I pull that collar down and then around, it makes it a lot harder for him to tuck that chin. And if I need to, get your nose up. For those of you who have cross-faced, pop their nose up a little bit and don't move. If you don't know how bad this can hurt, do wall work with me once. It's a real fun day. Boom, I'm here. All I'm doing is pulling that collar down. One, it tightens this piece, but it also makes it to where your wrist isn't trying to go under his throat. Just that piece of cloth. So it helps both of those things. Then you're here. What's that finish at? Other questions on the details? Yes? So if I'm here, and James is just a tough son of a bitch, right? He tucks his chin, I try to get it out from under, I try to get his nose up, none of that works. Here. Yeah, I'll break your jaw, but yeah, sucks. Enough pressure to tap to actually snap your jaw, but enough to make it, you think about life sucking real quick. Other questions? Yes.
What are the benefits of reaching that arm around and up instead of just grabbing the thing like a
Because we're not going. So, because if I go here, the benefit of the bow and arrow pull is this leg being engaged. We haven't engaged that yet. Is that where we're going? Maybe next time. Dragon. Yeah, that is eventually where we do this.
I'm not sure how much
You can. So for me, the transition I like through this, because you already know, is there. But a lot of sacrifice there positionally. So if I can stay tall and take that neck first, I'm always going to try that choke before I go to a bow and arrow. Because if that doesn't work, the bow and arrow pressure through your legs. If that makes sense. Other questions? 1, 2, 3. Here, right? There you go. Alright, so we're here, right? So, we're here, right? Boom, I grab the collar. Mr. Hackett defends because he's a gentleman like that. He's like, hey man, I don't like you choking. Boom, I help him up. But let's just say I'm just not confident in my ability to hit this choke for whatever reason. I suck at chokes. He's tough to choke, right? JJ's a real son of a bitch to choke most days. Don't enjoy or appreciate trying to choke him, right? So I get here, I try to start working, or let's say I get here, I try it, James tucks his chin, he's just in tight, right? All I'm gonna do, guys, I'm gonna lean towards his hips. Bringing this hand in front into the wrist. This hand goes from collar to wrist. So we were here, right, trying to work. Now, I'm going to lean. This hand's gonna cup his elbow. This hand's gonna come over to the wrist. My hand's gonna grab my wrist. Windshield wiper the foot out. Bring it over the top. Finish the knees. Finish the armbar. Couple details on finishing the armbar here that are important. One, I pull James's elbow hard as I want, right? JJ's made to be nice and strong. I'm all strong, right? Nothing I can do about that. The second I change the pressure from his elbow to his wrist, changes quite a bit, quite quick, right? So, Do not fight people at their elbows. Their elbows, I promise, are really hard to break. You have to fight them at the wrist, right? Next piece. I pinch my knees. I do not cross my feet. None of you are smooth enough at the cross arm transition to cross your feet on an every time basis. I am not smooth enough at that transition to do it on a regular basis. Pinch the knees, makes the armbar tight. Right? Last piece. When I attach this to my chest, I'm not just keeping it static here, I'm pulling it up. All of that allows his arm to be at the very end of his extension, long before my back hits the mat. If you hit the back, your back hits the mat, and you're trying to like pull the lever, you fucked up like 6 steps. When I'm here, this should already be elbow attached, tapping at the wrist, pulling up, pinching the knees. That's the difference between an okay armbar that you might finish and a really tight one. Does that make sense? So we're here with Mr. Hackett. Good things are happening. Boom, I'm trying to choke him. He doesn't appreciate that. I help him up. Try to go for this choke. It's not working, whatever reason. Here. Like I said, I lead. This hand attacks. This hand comes to the wrist. That allows me to kick my backside ankle out. Here. Passing it over the face. Falling back. Attacking at the wrist. Here. I attack. It's not working. Help this track up. I go for collar choke, all these good things. It's not working, right? Whatever reason. I lean, drag this ankle out. This foot will be the number one thing y'all mess up. I promise. If y'all leave it back here and try to pass it over, you're going to look like real awkward people trying to say. So, here. Take that out. This allows for a smooth transition. Back at the wrists. Finish the other. Questions on this? Over his ribs. So everything I'm doing is keeping my weight over his hips and legs. His head's not going anywhere for the most part because it's in between you. You have his arm, so it's controlling the hips to that. So it's keeping all that weight kind of leaned towards his hips and kind of those lower ribs. Other questions? So the hand that would have been fed the collar, it becomes the wrist hand. So the top side hand fights the wrist, the inside hand fights at the elbow. Does that make sense? Because then if you have to transition, you attack the wrist to grab the elbow. So what she's asking, which hand attacks the wrist? So I'm here. It would be this hand that would have been the choking hand on this shoe. So when I'm here, this hand attacks at the elbow, this hand comes in. Like JJ was asking, my weight here. James should feel it all right in kind of his stomach and lower ribs here. Because now if he tries to move his head a lot, there's not a lot of places for him to go. And with all pounds of meat over his hips right now, it's real hard for him to move. Boom, I transition that on top. Now we're here. Now the reason you attack with this hand on the wrist is because if I need to, if James starts to walk his feet away or defend in a meaningful way, this hand still attacks the wrist, this hand can transition to the feet. Alright? Other questions?